I get to talk about the wonderful world of where are we going from here in terms of sharing information in the world that we have. And we start out with the basic premise that Ohio has a really great peer review statute. And so because of that, I don't care whether you want to share information and have it protected or not. I want you to know what the consequences are of your decision. But we have a lot of ability to share and still protect in the world that we're in. And what we've been talking about for the last couple of years, and what I think we're really going to see happening 2013, 2014, on into probably the indefinite future, is the fact that both internally and externally we're going to have to be looking differently at what we share. The first piece of that is internally. And historically, we just had, with our hospitals, we had medical staffs. And if you had an issue, you dealt with it through the medical staff. Well, what we have now is these doctors are employed. And so if they are employed, we have heightened liability with these individuals. We also have the potential for expanded liability. We're no longer looking at just, quote, negligent credentialing. So, for example, you have good old Dr. Jones, and you employ Dr. Jones, and Dr. Jones is the world's worst documenter known to God and man, and you're really concerned about this one-day stay thing that you just heard Diane talking about because Dr. Jones is an idiot when it comes to documenting. Having said that, he also yells and screams at all of the nurses or the hospital staff when they say, Dr. Jones, you are really documenting poorly and you need to do a better job. Historically, we would have run that straight to the medical staff. That's the only ones that could take care of it. But Dr. Jones is employed by our professional corporation. Well, maybe it should be medical staff. Maybe it should be the compliance office. Maybe we should be handling the whole thing through HR because Dr. Jones is an employee and we're really afraid that the medical staff won't do diddly squat with Dr. Jones in terms of what we want to handle. Maybe we want it protected. Maybe we want to deal with the disruptive piece through the medical staff because peer-to-peer, maybe Dr. Jones will listen about behaving. But if we're afraid we're going to have a discrimination lawsuit on our hands, we might want HR to do it because that means they're going to do a better job at defending against an EEOC claim. Now, I don't care what you do, but what I do care about is capturing that at the beginning in terms of once you've already gone down one path or the other, you've already made a decision. So with a lot of our clients, what we've been doing is saying, okay, we need to create a process now where you capture that problem. We have peer review agents set up, so we capture that problem at the beginning, and we can then say, okay, we're going to do this compliance and medical staff. We're going to run it concurrent. This we're going to share, this we're not. We're going to send it to HR. We know it's not going to be protected, but that's okay. We're going to make that conscious decision. So that is the one big piece that we have been doing because, you know, if peer review worked with medical staff in terms of negligent credentialing, well then, shouldn't it still work when you're dealing with your docs that are employed? But you now also have a lot of other options in terms of how should you deal with something because, again, you are looking at vicarious liability. And if Dr. Jones is not going to be able to pass muster when you've got that audit coming up, you're on the hook. That's your employee. You're not going to be able to say, well, that's just a member of the medical staff and we're just stuck with Part B. No, you've got the whole thing. So that is one thing we've been working with a lot of clients on. The external piece of this is now that you're a hospital, but you also are thinking about doing an ACO, or you're doing clinical integration, or you have your own PHO that you handle, or you have an ambulatory surgery center that you own, or you've got some joint ventures that you're doing. So, okay, you now have the exact same scenario, and Dr. Jones is also practicing at your ambulatory surgery center. Are you going to share information with the ambulatory surgery center? If you don't, are you screwing yourself up? Thank you very much. 1 minute. Are you getting yourself in trouble because you own that completely? How can you share with one piece and not share with the other? And if you end up ultimately in some type of clinical integration or co-management or ACO situation, at the end of the day, you've got that patient from birth to death. You're going to have to share quality information. So we've been working with a lot of people in terms of saying, are we going to have a sharing of information policy? Are we going to have an agreement because you're separate parties? What are you going to share? What are you not going to share? If you're doing clinical integration and you need to do remediation with a doc, is there a way that we can set it up so that that's protected even though ultimate information might come out? So I don't see this going away. I see this getting bigger and bigger as we employ more and more individuals and as we connect more and more with others in terms of trying to provide quality of care to patients,